All right, friends, may I be the first to say, may the fourth be with you. Today in reading, we're going to talk about the pressures acting on characters. So this is building off of the lesson about characters' less likable traits. So characters act and react to pressures in their lives, just like we do as human beings. When these pressures become unbearable, it causes characters to act out in negative, sometimes destructive ways. So let's think about the scene that we watched from Harry Potter. Let's just think about the pressures he was facing that made him put the dark curse on Malfoy. So in general, Harry felt pressure that he needed to stop Malfoy from hurting other students. He knew that Malfoy was up to something, and that he was somehow involved in Katie Bell being hurt. So that was one pressure acting on him. Another one was Harry in this book, in the Half-Blood, was being influenced by dark arts book that he knew better than to get involved with it, but it was also very alluring because the book was giving him insights and helping him succeed in his potions class, or his dark arts class. Sorry, or no, potions. So that was another pressure acting on him. And then just in general, like he has so many expectations to be the great Harry Potter, and I think that really takes a toll on him. And then tied into that, people spread lies about him in the newspaper throughout Hogwarts, and people are trying to take him down in a lot of ways. And I think those pressures kind of come to a head in this scene, and that's what causes him to act in that destructive way. So yeah, I think in general, what we can take away from that is that things are more complicated than they seem, and sometimes it's about our own lives. I think all of us have less likable sides that rear their head every once in a while, just like the characters in our book. But I think it's important that we have to be empathetic and try to understand what leads characters or humans in general to do the things that they do. So when you're reading a book, I want to teach you that characters have reasons for the things that they do and the ways that they are. So it's your job as you're reading and trying to figure out the motivations of a character to ask what pressures there are that might be acting on this character. And then do these help you to understand the character's actions and decisions. So those bolded quotes, those are a couple questions that I want you to think about, especially when you're trying to figure out why a character acts a certain way. So thinking about Will from popularity, you guys, Miss Victor did the second part of the read aloud with you guys, and we were thinking about less likable traits. I kept coming back to the fact that Will is really pretty ruthless. He ditches the Allens, without a second thought, even though they've been the only ones who have been shown him any sort of attention at all, or they've kept him company for months. And then it's especially ruthless, and it really, reading it as an adult, the scene where he calls Mitch Tweety Bird, just to get other people to laugh, and then like kind of Mitch's downward spiral after that, and how Mitch is kind of shoved to the side, and he ends up transferring schools. It really shows a ruthless side of Will that is, not very likable at all. So these are awful, ruthless things that he does. Let's think about those questions from the previous slide. What pressures might be acting on Will, and then do they help me understand his actions and decisions? So some of the pressures that on Will that make him ruthless, the pressure of wanting to be popular. Obviously, that's kind of the gist of the story. That's what is driving the narrative. But it seems like this is the kind of school where only the popular kids get any sort of voice, or they're the only ones that seem to have fun, or they're the only ones that are able to play and get any sort of attention. I think he also has the pressure of loneliness. I know in my life, and some of you probably have felt the same way, when you feel alone and when you're experiencing feelings of loneliness, it can be really really taxing on your physically, mentally, on your mind, and it can cause you, to maybe have impaired judgment. So I think for Will, he's really craving for that approval so much that it's affecting his brain, and he just wants to be accepted by someone. He wants to be accepted by a crowd that that he wants to be a part of, if that makes sense. Because the Allens theoretically are accepting of him, but he still feels lonely with them. He doesn't feel that connection. Um, and then the last one I said, there's pressure on him because other kids are also being cruel. It's it showed that like Mitch was the one who said he needed a ruler because his pants were too high, and I think other kids being cruel showed Will that like this is the way that you become popular. He felt a pressure to act in that way, because the other kids were doing it and they were being rewarded for it. And then when he actually does end up being ruthless to Mitch, he is rewarded by it. So it seems like there's a really negative culture at this school where bullies and people that are more verbally abusive are rewarded. I don't think Burley's the same way, luckily, but I think these are all pressures acting on Will. So you guys are going to have or you do have a chart like this that you're going to fill out. This is my version of it for Will from popularity. Again, I put my pressures here: wanting to be popular, loneliness, other kids being cruel, and then also included evidence as to why, to back up those pressures. So we just talked about those on the previous slide. I probably should have waited for this, but you guys can pause and read through how I filled this out. So your pressure acting on characters chart is April 13th assignments. So it was the first day of remote learning, the first day of this unit. You guys filled out the character trait web for one of your independent reading books. And the second slide in that slide deck is this pressures acting on character charts. So again, it's back in the April 13th assignments. If some of you guys turned in those assignments, please message myself or Miss Victor right away, because when you turn them in, you forfeited your editing access. So we'll have to go in and give you permission to edit the assignment again. So definitely be sure to reach out if you turned in your April 13th assignments. Also, please let us know if you have any questions. Lastly, you are doing a character from your story. You're not doing Will from popularity. You're doing a character from your short story. So I know there's been some confusion in the packets when you've been taking notes on popularity and then you've been asked to do something in your short story. I've seen that some of you guys have just talked about popularity for both. So this is one of the 3 short stories that you chose. Okay? Any questions? Ask myself or Miss Victor. May the 4th be with you. Have a great day.